Hi, welcome to a video on the Indo-Europeans. So, who were the Indo-Europeans? They're the modern ancestors of peoples of Europe, Iran, and even northern India. So, Indo-European actually refers to the language group that was spoken by these people. And it means that these different branches of people didn't actually share identical cultures for very long throughout their history, but they all did originate from a homogeneous cultural identity. So, they were first hypothesized to have existed in the late 1700s. Because of linguistic connections between European, Iranian, and Indian languages, which highlighted a possibility of shared ancestry. And assessing the kind of the terms that we find within this early language, common terms, historians have actually been able to piece together the position of their original homeland. So you can actually get quite specific with terminology here. Um, the recurrence of a word for king means that a search for funeral mounds, as the one you can see on your screen now, could actually reveal something about where they were located originally. The existence of words for otters and beavers also signified that the area should be forested and contain wetland marsh. So the current hypothesis is that Indo-Europeans came from a culture named the Yamnaya culture, which is thought to have existed in the southwestern Russian steppe just north of the Caucasus. So there are two main distinctive groups of the Yamnaya culture. The first of these were nomadic herders who traveled with their flocks of animals, and these were later to become the Afanasyevo culture. And the other was much more pastoralist and had two main groups, namely the Usatovo culture and the Maykop culture. So the Afanasyevo people moved east during the Indo-European migrations, or the first wave of them around 3500 BC, and they settled in the west of modern-day China, most likely because they wanted to find new fields for their herds. And actually, the descendants of the Afanasyevo would actually convert to Buddhism. Now, the Maykop peoples moved south into the Caucasus Mountains and are likely the Proto-Anatolian peoples. But it's important to note that these Proto-Anatolian peoples were actually not the same as the Anatolian people today, because the Turks that live in Anatolia today actually migrated to Anatolia much later, around 1000 AD. So the descendants of the Maykop peoples actually spoke Hittite, Luwian, and Pelayik, which actually remained spoken languages in Western Anatolia, Syria, and the Levant throughout the Bronze Age. The Usatovo peoples moved west along the coast of the Black Sea, settling down in the south of modern-day Ukraine and the east of Romania. And some would actually continue their migrations west, reaching the Danube. And after reaching the Danube, there was a split in the direction of migration. So some decided to move north and hug the Carpathian Mountains and settled in the kind of modern day area of Transylvania. But some even continued further westwards and became the ancestors of modern day Italic, Celtic, and Germanic cultures. And actually, there's a second wave of migration at around 2000 BC. Um, and this migration actually occurred from the homeland of the Yamnaya culture, though this had very much evolved and been sort of eclipsed by this time. So this is 2000 BCE. And these people were called the Andronovo peoples. And they were the ancestors of modern day Indians and Iranians. And actually, when they reach modern day Uzbekistan, they split up. And a theory for this is that the two groups actually had a theological dispute. And it's quite interesting actually, because if you look at the words for demon and god in the Indian and Persian languages, they've actually been swapped around. So if we take the Indian words for these, which are Asura and Deva, uh, and then we compare this to the Persian words, which are Daiva and Ahura, we can see that these have been swapped around and they both mean the opposite in each of the different languages. So these Proto-Indians actually ended up in the Punjab and the Proto-Iranians ended up in Persia. And in the more recent present, some more studies have actually been done on Indo-European DNA. And it was found that a shared Y DNA haplogroup was discovered among males from Indo-European backgrounds. And this is actually consistent all the way from Western Europe through Russia and Iran to India. But actually, quite an interesting note on the finds in India. This DNA haplogroup was basically only found among the priestly caste, who are named the Brahmins, but not too much in other castes in India. And that would actually suggest that once the Indo-Europeans had migrated to India, they actually installed themselves as local leaders among a pre-existing population. Indo-Europeans have also been found to share a trait which allowed them to drink animal milk, and that would explain an aptitude for their herding and pastoral skills. And actually, if we look at Western Europe in more detail, there is actually a continuity in the mitochondrial DNA from around the time of the Indo-European migrations there, on the maternal side though, because male DNA continuation seems to end. And the main implication of this is that it would seem that the Indo-Europeans actually killed off the male populations before procreating with the local population. So I hope this video somewhat helped you to understand the Indo-European invasions and the fact that it's quite surprising that not many people know about the kind of integral culture that actually forms the basis of a large part of the Eurasian plain today. Thank you for watching.